Hey everybody, welcome to my kitchen. It is Tuesday and you are cooking with Evey. Today we are going to be making almond sesame crackers. So I'm hoping that you like nice crunchy crackers that make a great snack. Before I get started, I just want to ask if you enjoy watching my videos, please like the video. Please share it with others so that they also can benefit and learn more about healthy eating. Eating healthy helps us age better, helps us look and feel better, and a message that I would love to spread to many, many others. So please spread the word. So let's get started. So today we're going to be making crackers, as I said, and this comes from last week's cooking class where I made almond milk. And one of the things that's left over when you make almond milk is the pulp, because you end up straining out the milk from the pulp fibers. By the way, I had a lot of people ask me where I got my ceramic milk jug. I actually got it in an antique store many years ago, but I did look on Amazon and they do have clear glass containers similar to this. So if you're interested in getting a bottle, you might want to head over there and try that, but not right now. Wait until I'm done with the class, okay? So we made our almond milk, and from our almond milk, we had the pulp, and I did do an earlier video where I converted my pulp into flour. I did that by drying the pulp. You can do that in a very cool oven, somewhere, if you can get it down to 100 and something degrees, that works well. I did it in my dehydrator, but you end up with something that looks just like flour. And that's what we're going to work with today. But don't worry, if you don't have almond pulp, you can use regular almond flour that you can buy as well. So the other thing, I just wanted, before I move on, others were asking me about the almond milk. After the talk last week, I made almond yogurt out of the milks that we had. I had a almond milk, and I had a cashew milk and a walnut milk, and I made those into yogurt. You can buy a vegan culture. I buy mine from Cultures from Health. They have a website, Cultures for Health, and what you get is a nice, deliciously rich yogurt, just like this. Very easy to do. Yum. If you'd like more information on that, just private message me, and I can send you some directions on just how to make that. But on to using our pulp. So these crackers, super simple to make. I make them in the oven. First thing you want to do is preheat your oven to 325 degrees Fahrenheit. I have mine on right now. Grab a bowl to mix up your ingredients, a spoon to stir it. First thing that we want to do is take a look at our dry ingredients. So as I mentioned, the pulp, I pre-measured out 1 cup of my almond pulp. If you don't have almond pulp, you can use almond flour. I'm going to add to that chia seeds. Chia seeds, great for you, high in omega-3 fatty acids, fiber, protein, and I'm going to add in a 1/4 cup of chia seeds to that. By the way, I like to store my seeds and nuts in the refrigerator because of those fatty acids. They tend to be a little bit volatile and will go rancid very quickly if they get too hot. So I store them in the refrigerator in glass jars. I have my chia seeds here. I'm also going to add in flaxseed. This is ground flaxseed. Again, I store it in the refrigerator. I'm going to add a 1/4 cup of the flaxseed, ground flaxseed, to my mix as well. And then I'm going to add a little bit of psyllium husks. So psyllium husks are this great, it's healthy fiber for us. It actually helps feed the microbiome because it feeds the healthy microbes that grow in our digestive system. I tend to buy in bulk, as you can see here. I add it to my porridge in the morning. It's actually, dare I say, the major ingredient in Metamucil. So for those of you who might have some digestive issues with constipation, don't like to use that word while I'm cooking, but you might want to start trying to add in a little bit of fiber into your diet. And one way you can do that is by adding Metamucil, adding psyllium. And I like just to use the fresh psyllium because it is a natural ingredient. There are no artificial colorings or sweeteners or flavorings in it that you get in other products. So I'm going to add in 2 tablespoons of our Psyllium Husks. And I like this brand. It is organic. I try to get organic whenever possible. So I've added in I have my almond flour now, or almond pulp as case may be, my chia, my flaxseed. Now I'm going to add in a 1/4 cup of my sesame seeds. Now these are already toasted. If you have raw sesame seeds, you might want to give them a little bit of toast just to toast them ahead of time just to give it a little bit added flavor. This is a Zyod. I'm not quite even sure how it's pronounced, but I do get that from our local grocery store. And I'm going to add about 1/2 teaspoon of salt to that. Now, if I were doing plain crackers, I might want to add, like, instead of 1/2 teaspoon, do 3/4 of a teaspoon. But today I'm going to add in some additional flavorings that have salt in them already. So I'm going to pull back a little bit on the amount of salt that I'm adding. Mix up those dry ingredients. I'm just using a whisk here. I like to do that ahead of time. The reason these crackers work is because of the properties that chia and psyllium have. When you add liquids to them, they tend to get viscous, much like the egg whites in an egg. And they function in much the same way to bind your cracker together. For that reason, this can be a non-dairy, or it is a non-dairy recipe. And it works. All right. So we have our dry ingredients now all mixed together in our bowl. I want to add in a little bit of coconut oil and some tahini. Tahini is nothing more than ground sesame seeds. So we're getting a little bit more of that sesame flavor in there. I'm going to add in 3 tablespoons of my my tahini. This one tends to be very liquidy. Some of them can be more of a paste. If it is a paste, you might want to try mixing melted coconut oil and the tahini first in a separate bowl just to mix them up a little bit, because you don't want to get chunks in your batter. Just scrape out our spoon here. I use coconut oil in this recipe because when it is at room temperature, it gets solid. It is a saturated fat. But in order to incorporate it into the batter better, I have just softened some up. I was doing a little cooking, so I put this container next to the stove. It contains 2 tablespoons of my coconut oil. I'm just going to empty that into our batter. And then I want to give that a good stir. And again, if you can get organic ingredients, I do get organic coconut oil. In this case, I'm using the same brand that Zyod, tahini, which you can find in most grocery stores. At least around here you can. And again, if you want to find out the video or take a look at the video on making the almond milk and making the almond flour, head over to my new YouTube channel. I just redesigned it. It has every single one of my cooking shows on it. Very easy to find and look up. So I've mixed everything in here so that it's kind of crumbly. You can see the consistency of it. All right. Now I want to add in water. 1.5 cups of water. I've already pre-measured my filtered water here, so I'm just going to add it in. I just reserved a little bit out. Maybe I should have reserved a little. Now you can see it's very liquidy at first. The trick with this, remember I said that the chia and the psyllium get viscous. So in the course of just a few minutes, this is going to thicken up. What's nice about that is it allows me to really mix and get everything evenly distributed in that batter. And it also gives me a chance to clean up while it is thickening. So let me just move these things out of the way. This, by the way, is my flour that I've made that I store in the cabinet. I do store the whole almonds in the refrigerator, but the pulp I actually store in my pantry because it has a lot of the moisture. Well, the moisture is taken out of it, and it tends to be less likely to have anything in it that's going to go bad. It's mostly fiber at this point. All right, so making a little bit of room here, and while that is thickening up, let's see what we've got. Already it is starting to thicken up. You can see, whereas it was very liquidy a second ago, it is now starting to thicken up. I'm going to let that continue to thicken up a bit. And while that's happening, I'm going to prepare my baking sheet. So what I like to do for this is get 2 jelly roll pans. I like these because they don't have the edges on them, so it allows me to flatten out the batter very nicely and evenly. And I have here, these are just liners, parchment. You can use parchment. These are baking liners that I like to use because you can use them over and over again. And I'm going to just scoop out. Here we go. Now you can see how thick this batter is, just in that short amount of time that we were sitting here. So I'm going to put about a cup, a little more than a cup, about 1.25 cups onto my first tray. All right. Now, give my hands an extra wash, and I'm going to put some water into my measuring cup here. I'm going to reserve the rest of the batter for the second tray, but what I would like to do is just show you how to flatten out the batter. Very complicated. Well, okay, not really. Not high tech at all. I just wet my fingers and I press out the batter. I want to make the batter about, when it's all done, about 1/8 of an inch thick. So it takes a little doing, takes a little time to do this, but it's really super easy. I found that if I try to use a utensil, the utensil just gets stuck to it. This is the easiest way to do a batter like this. If you like, you can try to make it more square than rounded. You can do that by holding one finger against the edge as you pat things out. But the idea is to make sure that everything is more or less the same thickness. If you make your crackers too thick, it's very difficult to get them to be evenly crunchy. What happens is the outside browns too quickly and the inside stays cakier. So I like to try and get right from the beginning away, you know, a nice thin layer so that it bakes evenly. All right. So I think at this point, this is pretty good. And I don't want to thin out my edges too much because, again, I don't want them to burn before the inside bakes. I'm just going to clean up my hands here for a minute. All right, so let me show you what we've got here. So you can see, very thin. And here's where I get to use my pizza cutter. I don't use it very often, and I don't use it for much else other than cutting crackers these days. But what I want to do then is I just want to score my batter. So that once they're baked, they will break along those score lines. And I'm making them maybe about inch and a half square. Let me show you. You see those lines? Whoops, don't want that sliding off. So this then is ready to go into the oven. I'm going to bake it for 20 minutes. It's at 325 degrees, bake it for 20 minutes. Then what I'm going to do is it's still going to be very cakey. But what I will do is I will just take it and flip over the tray and peel off my parchment paper and let it bake for another 20 minutes. At that time, what I want to do is I want to take a look. The outside edges might be getting a little bit brown and crispy. If that's the case, and the inside is not done yet, you might want to remove a layer of crackers from around the edges and then go back and bake more of the interior pieces. And you can do that until all of the pieces are nice and crispy. It usually takes the 20 minutes, flip 20 minutes, and then anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes longer. And of course it will vary depending on the size that you made your crackers and the temperature of your oven, like how hot it really is. So I'm going to slip this in and turn on my timer. So I've got that going. All right. And let me show you then my crackers from the other night that I made. Oh, and you know what? Before I forget, let's back up a little bit. I'm going to pull those crackers out for a second. This is you seeing how I'm not perfect. Okay, what I wanted to do, remember I said I wanted to try adding in something new to these crackers? What I thought would be fun would be to add in, as a topping, everything but the bagel. And this is from Trader Joe's. I love this topping. It is flavorful. It's onions and sesame, but it also has salt in it, which is why I held back a little bit on that salt. It has black sesame seeds in it, and it has regular sesame seeds, the white ones. And I'm just sprinkling on, maybe about a teaspoon and maybe 2 teaspoons worth. So I just can evenly cover the top. And I'm just going to lightly pat down so that sticks to the surface. And I'll show that to you up close again. That's it. Yep, we're good. So you can see now how it's got these toppings on it. So this is going to be a fun little topping on top of these. Let me go pop this back in the oven again. And maybe talk a little bit about different toppings that you could have used on this. So I did the everything but the bagel. And I said I love using the Trader Joe's brand. but I've seen it around at lots of different stores. But depending on the flavor profile that you want, you could try adding in some garam masala. That's a nice, wonderful, rich Indian spice mix. You could try adding in paprika. This is the everything but the bagel. Cumin, one of my favorite spices. So I have done this before with these crackers, and it is delicious. So I would add in probably about a teaspoon of the cumin. Probably say about the same of the others. Maybe garam masala. I might try experimenting with half a teaspoon. Taste it, see if it seems good. If it's not strong enough, then I would add a little bit more to it. But you could also add Italian seasonings in. Do an Italian spice blend or a herbes de Provence, which would be great to top the. And those, I like the idea of just kind of sprinkling them on top and patting them in. So lots of different ideas for you to try. So I baked these crackers yesterday, and I didn't take off any of the outside edges. I've left them sitting here, but I just wanted to show you how. Now I did transfer it into my dehydrator, and it's since been sitting out, so they got a little bit soggy now from sitting out. It's a humid day here, but what I wanted to show you is how I might go about breaking off the edges of the crackers, right? So that I have this inner piece left. I would leave this inner piece on the baking tray and take off those outer crackers. But this is the way they break apart when you take them off the tray. And because I've scored them, they break nicely down those lines. If they're not perfectly square, I don't mind. They still taste great. All right. So here you have our crackers. What do they taste good with? Oh my gosh, they taste great with salsa. I love doing them with a tomato salsa or a tomatillo salsa, guacamole, any kind of dip that you might be using. Delicious. You could top it with cheese if you're doing something like that, like as an appetizer. I love having these when guests come by, and it's kind of nice to be able to pull something out real quick, especially now that we're opening up and hopefully having more visitors. Something to serve them when they stop by. So, yes, so there you have it. We have our crackers that we just made today. If you have any questions, please ask me. Again, if you enjoyed the show, please share it with others. It's a way to get my name out and to further my message of eating healthy. If you have any questions about what we did here today, or you wanted to get more information on how to make yogurt or how to make almond milk, how to make any kind of nut milk, by all means, just reach out, PM me, or leave a comment in the comment section. Be happy to answer them. All right, so have a great week. Happy eating until then. And if you have any suggestions of something that you might like to see me making, by all means, send me a message. Otherwise, I will see you next week. Take care now. Bye-bye.